So the question that's been bugging me for a little while is, why does Armstrong get absolutely slammed as a cheat, but Merckx gets a pass? And what does it all mean for Tadej Pogačar et al.? Good morning and welcome to what is actually a fairly unseasonably cold ride for this time of year. It's currently only about 11 degrees this morning and it is a little bit chilly. I was considering putting a long sleeve merino wool jersey on this morning, but I was talked out of it by Simo. And to be fair, I'm glad he did, because it is warming up a little bit now and it's due to get up to about 24 degrees. So yeah, that would have been very moist. But this morning we're out on another beautiful leisurely ride in Essex as ever, heading off once again to one of our favourite coffee spots, the mixing shed over in Armstrong. But there is something very specific that I wanted to talk to you guys about today, because with both versions of the Tour de France just coming to an end, my feed is still constantly being updated with both current and historical TDF articles. And the thing that I've been reading most about is the prevalence of doping in the 90s and 2000s, but also what it could mean for this current generation. But before we get into that, I'm going to try and spin my legs a little bit faster and warm up a little bit, because there is still the slightest chill in the air with the wind. All right, let's go. Before all that though, I've got a new kit announcement to make, because you may have seen my video from a little while ago now where I basically spent the entire video bemoaning the state of the cycling kit industry, especially the fact that my much beloved Morvello brand, which was a great British brand, had been bought out by Mike Ashley's Fraser Group, is that what they're called? And then the brand had basically been mothballed for whatever reason. And even if it hadn't been mothballed, I made the decision that I wasn't going to spend any more money with huge, faceless, multinational conglomerates. So I decided there and then that I was going to support a more homegrown kit brand. So I went looking for one and found one very close to me, not too far from Chelmsford, called Blackmore. And again, if you've watched many of my videos, you might have seen that one where I went to meet the owner of Blackmore last year and we basically discussed, again, the woes in the industry. Sadly, Nick had to take a bit of a hiatus away from selling kit last year. However, when he went to get back up and running, he then had the issue of his kit supplier going bust. He's managed to solve all of that now though, and is just getting back on his feet, getting back up and running. And with pre-orders starting a couple of weeks ago, the kit has just been sent out. So I bought myself a brand new set of bib shorts, a long sleeve merino wool jersey, which is the one that I was wearing this morning before I decided that probably it wasn't the best idea, and this cap, which is very nice. Now, I just want to say that this isn't a sponsored segment. I've not been paid to say any of this, and this is not an ad. I actually paid full price for all of this kit because, as I say, I just want to support a local British business. But Blackmore currently have a promotion going on where if you buy a jersey with a pair of bib shorts, you get 25% off the bib shorts, making them just 75 quid, which is an absolute steal because they are fantastic quality, it has to be said. They've got a lovely soft chamois, they've got a really nice soft shoulder strap, whatever you want to call that thing, bib strap, I guess. As well as that though, Nick has also given me the discount code PETER15 that you can use at checkout for another 15% off. I mean, Blackmore are almost paying you at this point to take the kit. So yeah, if like me, you fancy supporting a great British business, head over to Blackmore Cycling Apparel and go and get yourself some new kit. I'll leave the link and discount code in the video description below. Right, well, having just fought my way up the slightest of hills, I'm now knackered. I really do need to sort my fitness out, but that does at least prove one thing, and that is that I'm not doping. And what a segue that is back on to the topic of today's video, which is, why is Armstrong called out as the worst cycling cheat of all time? In fact, in some ways, the worst cheat of all time in any sport, but Merckx gets lauded as the greatest of all time. He gets paraded out at Tour de France ceremonies giving presentations and trophies, despite the fact that they both cheated. And let's be clear, it's not allegedly, it's a fact that Merckx doped multiple times. 69, 73, 77. Sometimes he claimed that he was framed, other times he just shrugged it off. But yet somehow Merckx still sits on that pedestal. 5 Tour de France wins, 7 Milan-San Remos. The cannibal, untouchable. And Armstrong wins the Tour 7 times, beats cancer, comes back stronger, builds an empire, global superhero. Then bam, lifetime ban, total disgrace. You even mention his name in cycling groups and people get twitchy. So why the double standard? Part of it was the sheer scale of Armstrong's deception. It wasn't just personal, it was on an industrial scale. blood bags, EPO, doctors flying in with special vitamins. And while doing that, he was suing whistleblowers, bullying journalists, and sitting on Oprah's couch swearing he'd never doped. Merckx never did that. He doped in an age where pretty much the entire peloton was fueled with alcohol and amphetamines. The testing was rubbish, and everyone sort of accepted the fact that doping was the cost of doing business. Was Merckx still a cheat? Absolutely. But was it on the same level of deceit, legal intimidation, and global manipulation? Not even close. Then there's the image. Merckx never painted himself as a saint. He was just a relentless, obsessed rider that wanted to win everything. He never built a brand around his virtue. Lance, on the other hand, his whole story was triumph over adversity. Livestrong, the cancer survivor that came back clean and crushed everybody. He didn't just break the rules, he betrayed everyone who believed in him. So when it all collapsed and he got found out, it wasn't just cheating, it was betrayal. But then again, is that fair? Because here's the thing, pretty much everyone Armstrong was racing against back in those days was also doping. Ulrich, Basso, Pantani, you name it. And in Merckx's time, it was arguably worse. Amphetamines, cortisone, strychnine, for goodness sake. It was the Wild West. So then maybe the real question is, are we punishing Lance because he doped, or because he made us care and then embarrassed us for it? And that brings us bang up to date now, because we're in this golden era of cycling again with riders like Pogačar, Evenepoel and Vingegaard. Now, full disclosure, I am a huge Pogačar fan, so if it ever does turn out that he was doping, I'm going to be personally devastated. But it does leave me wondering, if he does turn out to be a cheat, will it hit as hard as Armstrong? Because let's be honest, he's already doing things that feel unreal. Winning on gravel, destroying everyone in the mountains, and then turning up at Flanders and being stronger than the classics guys. He seems like the real deal. He's charismatic, he's open, he races with flair, but then so did Lance, until he wasn't. So if it ever did come out that Poggy was cheating, would we give him a pass like we did with Merckx? Or would he end up in the bin like Armstrong? As I said earlier, I am a huge Pogačar fan, and more importantly, so is my son. So I desperately hope that he is clean. And the best evidence I think that we've got for that is the fact that despite all the modern aero and technical advances with bikes and all the modern kit that we've got now, only now are the big guys in the peloton starting to beat the records that the guys from the doping era had set. Surely, with all those technological advances, if they were doping as well, they would have smashed those long ago. Again, that may be a rose-tinted view from me, and I'm really hoping that the sport is much cleaner these days. But then, talking of technological advances, it's not necessarily about EPO and blood doping anymore, but we've got the worry of electric motors in frames and rear wheels. And I guess the thing is, it doesn't really matter how advanced the anti-doping agencies are, there's always going to be a cheater that is ahead of the curve. Simo, what's your view on the world of doping?
It's like everything, right? Like, you know, motorsport and everything else. You're always one step behind the innovators. So it's very difficult. One thing I would say, when we did our Cardiff to London capital ride a few weeks ago, Mark, one of our group, was dishing out the Nurofen late on in the first day. It made a tremendous difference. And then the morning of the second day, when we were all, it was storing the horse. It made such a tremendous difference. I mean, a couple of Nurofen is not to the same degree as wholesale industrial doping.
Yeah, Mark also swears by a couple of pints of Guinness, because when we all did the Danish Dynamo last year, he started off with 2 pints of Guinness and he went off like an absolute rocket, and he swears by that as rocket fuel now, evidenced by the fact that halfway through our Cardiff to London ride he had another 2 pints of Guinness and equally shot off like a rocket. Right, well, my remote microphone has just decided to die because stupidly I didn't charge it last night, so if there's a difference in the audio quality, I apologise in advance. But going back to the pros for a second, it's not just Pogačar that's been putting in those unreal efforts over the last few years, because although he now has 4 Tour de France wins, the only thing that stopped him getting another couple is Jonas Vingegaard. And it doesn't take too much to cast our minds back to the 2023 Tour de France, when he put an absolute monster effort in on the individual TT, and he put nearly 2 minutes into Pogačar, almost catching him up on the climb. And that's despite Pogačar changing from his TT bike to a lighter climbing bike when it got to the hill. So just like in that golden era of cycling in the 90s and 2000s, if one card falls, it will probably be the case that the whole house of cards falls. And I really hope that doesn't happen. Another interesting question is, if Armstrong had never been caught cheating, would he be considered the greatest cyclist of all time? Possibly, But then, despite his 7 Tour de France wins, he didn't actually compete much in any other race, whereas Merckx and Pogačar are much more rounded cyclists. As I said earlier, Pogačar is just as au fait with the Grand Tours as he is with the Classics, so that still really leaves us with the question, who is the greatest of all time? Pogačar or Merckx? I'll let you decide that in the comments. Right, so there's another lovely 50k or 30-ish miles done, and it ended up getting up to 25 degrees as it currently is now. So I am very glad that I did not end up wearing that merino wool jersey, long sleeve jersey at that as well. But as a final thought on doping, maybe it isn't about doping at all. Maybe it's all about the narrative. If you cheat and then don't make people feel stupid for believing in you, maybe you'll get away with it. But yeah, if you weaponise belief, as Lance did, then people won't forget that so easily. So while Merckx gets statues, Armstrong gets shadows. So then maybe the issue isn't what they did, it's when they did it, how they did it, and who they hurt along the way. But what do you reckon though? Double standard, justified backlash? And do you think we'll ever see a doping scandal of that like in the modern peloton? Drop a comment below, especially if you still own a yellow Livestrong band. Right, well on that note, I am going to get inside, get myself another nice cup of tea and prepare myself for this afternoon, because I have a full afternoon of cycling, because as I've mentioned before in videos, my son and I are heading off to Lee Valley Velodrome to do stage 2 of our track cycling accreditation, and this one is an assessment, so wish us luck. So yeah, I'm gonna head in, get ready for that, but I do just want to give another shout out to Blackmore Cycling Apparel. Again, if you want to support a great local British business, head over to Blackmore Cycling. Again, I'll leave the link and discount code in the description below and go and show some love to them. But otherwise, I hope you found this one interesting and informative, if not a little controversial, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys.